Hello, thank you for joining us for our complimentary gathering. I thought we would just take some time to introduce ourselves to our guests or anybody listening to us at this time. I'd like to introduce you to Karen Hansel, my assistant. You might notice that Tyler, our paralegal, is not here today, but he will be here for other gatherings, or if you have any questions for Tyler, and if you have his contact information, you can email him or you can send us a contact form through our website at 𝘱𝗏𝗏.com. But I thought we would just spend some time introducing ourselves, and then we can maybe talk about mediation today. That seems to be a popular topic these days.
Sounds great.
Great. So Karen, I don't know if you don't mind maybe telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do and what you like to do.
Oh, sure. Thank you. As Erin mentioned, Karen Hansel. I am the administrative assistant for the firm. I'm usually, my background is in operations and legal operations as well. I do have a paralegal certificate, and that helps me help the firm with their task and whatever I'm assigned to do as well. I'm your primary point of contact. Usually when you fill out that contact form, it does go to the firm, and then for any follow-up, I'm usually the first voice that you'll hear on the phone to introduce you to the firm and to welcome you and to see how we can meet you where you're at for services. It's never the same day twice, that's for sure. It's always a lot of fun. Having the operational aspect is my favorite, along with the touch of legal. So that's kind of more where I sit.
Yeah. And Karen, you've had your paralegal certificate for some time
a while
now, right?
Yeah, it's almost 20 years. So yes, I've had it for a while. So I've used it through different aspects of law, through mainly in corporate and real estate law, estate law, mergers and acquisitions, coming from that background, and and then coming into the family law space.
Yeah, so I mean, a really vast background full of experience in different areas, and I'm sure things are always different in different areas of law, and but you bring a lot of background and knowledge and help to our clients. So
thank you. I appreciate it. I hope so. That's the client engagement is always my favorite part.
Yeah.
And that's why family law is so appealing, because that's, you deal directly with the clients rather than entities and those kind of in paper. So that's the best part.
Yeah, I do. I also enjoy that, the balance between paperwork, document production, and getting to meet the people and speaking with them. And it's always different every day. And I just enjoy brainstorming with our clients to help, and also just guiding them through some of their significant issues. But it is always nice to interact with people. And that's also what I like about family law is it's different every day, but there's a solution out there, and it feels good when you can help people find a resolution.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's been the biggest difference coming from the other pieces of law that people are more used to into the family law. Is just you help them through a transition of something in their life, and hope you make a positive and valuable impact as they continue forward. And that's really cool.
Yeah. And how I got into family law is it was through actually a different background in law. I had started out in eminent domain cases, and I worked downtown Chicago. And so it was a lot of paperwork. It was all about working with the government, working with property. And I actually found it really, really interesting. And then I segued into working as a clerk at the DuPage County State's Attorney's Office. That was an interesting choice. It was actually thrown upon me by my law school that they said that would be the only program that they would qualify for education. So I left eminent domain work that I actually really enjoyed, and then found out that I really enjoy working at the DuPage County State's Attorney's Office. And I started out as a clerk in the criminal division.
Oh, wow.
And so that was really interesting. I used to look at cold cases and go through that information and talk to various police departments to see if they had new information or new evidence to perhaps revive a case that had gone cold. And I had the pleasure of helping some judges in DuPage actually obtain convictions 10, 20 years after an offense was committed. So I absolutely enjoyed that. I will say I'm not so sure I enjoyed the courtroom in criminal law as much as I did the review and preparation and the clerk work. So what I did was I then moved to the Child Support Enforcement Division and absolutely loved the people that I worked with there. And that was my first taste of dealing with parents in a really difficult time, having it be different day to day, and trying to help parents get support for their children was really, to me, satisfying. It's a complex process. It can be a very stressful process to somebody that's paying or somebody that's seeking to receive, but I really enjoyed it. And, at that time, 9/11 happened. And so I couldn't shift from clerk to attorney. They had a hiring freeze. But through that wonderful experience, I met a family law attorney who took me under her wing. And I realized that I thoroughly enjoyed family law, and I got to take all of those things that I learned, the paperwork at eminent domain, the research that I did in the criminal division, and then the courtroom work that I did in the Child Support Enforcement Division. And I melded that all together and started practicing family law. So it was a journey, but it was really interesting how I found my way into family law, but being able to use everything that I had been learning. And so I thought that was a good place to be, stay in family law.
Yes.
And then through family law, I learned that a lot of my clients were either coping with their divorce in ways that maybe they wouldn't otherwise, and they were relying perhaps too much on alcohol or other substances, or they were coming to me for a divorce because their spouse had trouble. And so I went back to school and I got my degree in addictions counseling. And for many years, I was actual addictions counselor, one-on-one with people. I ran group, and I had an agency, and I loved it. But I decided that I was more helpful using those skills and that mental health background with all of my family law clients. So today I use my addictions counseling background and my mental health background to really help those struggling with divorce and family law and parenting issues. And so, it's again, kind of come full circle from where I started with eminent domain, working into family law. I felt that was full circle. And then I went and got my addictions degree, and that became something that really just helped my family law practice. So I get up every day and I'm happy to work with families. And I love mediation. I love sitting around a table and within a certain amount of time, helping people find resolution and start to restore their co-parenting relationship. And I love working with legal clients, trying to come up with a divorce plan that works for them and negotiating with the other side to express why this is in the best interest of their children or their family. So it's a great job. It's a challenging job. So to anybody listening, I understand what you're going through. I know that it's very difficult. But with Karen's background and my background and Tyler, who's not here, who's an accountant, I'm really proud of us keeping a lot of things in-house and being able to use our backgrounds to help people through a very difficult time.
Right. I think so. And I think it also helps when we work with those other professionals that may have to be brought into the team or into a situation. It helps us, I think, with our communications and facilitating, those outcomes, for clients that we can all live with and work with. So I think that helps too.
Yeah, I agree. Our diverse backgrounds allow us to work really well with either people that are court appointed and a part of our process, people that we invite to be part of the team, or other experts or specialists that are needed to help the children or the family. And so, Karen, I always appreciate you being able to navigate that and to talk to anybody that is on the team, whether in-house or outside. And it really always just benefits our clients.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I can echo your sentiments exactly in terms that it's a very serious issue and it's a very life-changing issues, but we also find joy in that work and helping people get where they want to go. So I think that's where it is, and making sure that everyone leaves better than when they started. you know,
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Well, I thought we could talk a little bit about a topic that seems to be coming up a lot within the firm, or questions that people are asking. And that topic seems to be mediation. How do I get started? What are the first couple steps? And so I thought we could walk through that process so that anybody listening could understand that there's an option called mediation. We'll discuss that a little bit more, but what do those initial steps look like? How can they start engaging with our firm to learn about mediation and to start mediation? And Karen, I'll throw it back to you again, since you're that first point of contact. But typically what happens is we get either a contact form or somebody saying I'm interested in mediation, right? Or they pick up the phone and call you. And
Right.
and
things go from there, right? In terms of conversation and collaboration as things go through. Usually, like Erin said, like a contact form or a phone call, the process kicks off the same. Want to make sure that we kind of collect some general information from you, make sure we understand that what your desired outcome of the situation is. If you want to go, if you're ready for mediation, that leads us down to the path where we would recommend spending some time with Erin. And we also want to make sure how the other party, if you can gauge how the other party is going to view mediation, if they're ready to go, if they're just waiting maybe for you to coordinate it with someone to check out services, then that's the path that we would then go ahead and just spend a joint call with Erin to talk with both of you, to determine next steps and way forward. The other option is if say you're calling in or writing in and you don't know where the other party stands, for whatever reasons, they're your own, and that's fine. We can still spend some time with Erin. So we would just go ahead and schedule that time, and then she would be able to guide and recommend next steps based on that conversation. So either way, we'll get you connected with Erin in terms of the best next steps and best practices for that. But there is just a little bit of a different path, depending on where you're at and more importantly, where that other party is at. Mediation is definitely a joint venture in terms to step into.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes people might be confused as to, is there a cost to talk to me about mediation, or are you being set for a consultation? And so I just want to distinguish that if we're discussing mediation, or I'm just trying to help you assess the process, if you've sent a contact form in and maybe you list both mediation and legal services, Karen will set you for a 15-minute call with me so that I can help, or I can just ask questions and understand what are your goals. And then I can let you know if it sounds like mediation would be feasible. Then we'll take it to that next step where Karen will set you for a joint meeting where we have both parties on the Zoom call or both parties on a conference call. And we talk about mediation. We don't talk about the facts of your case, and I'm not acting as your attorney, so I am not giving you legal advice. So it's an informative conference that we have for about 15 minutes. At that point, we can send you our service contract and you can review that, ask any questions about it, but it really outlines our fees, our expectations, our services, and it gives you a bit of a roadmap for the next steps. If both of the parties don't want to have that joint meeting, perhaps mediation isn't for you. Perhaps there's just not that feeling of being able to mediate or get in the same room, or maybe they've already hired an attorney and so they're just not looking to mediate. If I've only talked to one person, I could explain the options of mediation and legal services. And if the other party is not willing to mediate and I have not talked to the other party, then we could set a planning session, which would then be a legal consultation where we are discussing the facts of your case and I'm providing legal advice to you about the next steps for your divorce process or your parenting plan. And so I just wanted to give you that distinction that if I've ever had a joint meeting about mediation, I will never represent either of those parties. It was an informative session. I'm hopeful that you will understand the benefits of mediation and that you can ask questions about it. But if you choose not to go with my firm and you find another mediator or you choose another route, it's completely understandable. And I just will not represent either party as an attorney going forward once I've had that joint session. But if it's somebody that's just asking me about options and looking for options, it might be that you need legal services. And we will then assess that and discuss, what's the best way to go forward for accomplishing your goals.
Yeah. And it usually goes smoothly and rather quickly either way, either route that's done. I think once you are able to spend some time with Erin and she's able to have that conversation and interview, kind of thing in terms of your situation, we can get you in the path to the right spot to where you want to go.
Definitely. And I think, Karen, maybe before we break for today, I just wanted to leave the listeners with some tips about mediation to see if mediation is a good fit for you, maybe things to consider. If you are interested in mediating, either you're just thinking about divorce or maybe it's after divorce and you have some other things that you would like to discuss or modify, you have to be prepared to be transparent and open during the mediation process. And that includes being open in session with being able to discuss your issue or your position. And it's also about being transparent and open about financial documentation or any other disclosures that help us address the current issue. So one tip to realize, you need to be able to be open and transparent. The other thing that you need to be open to is finding a beneficial compromise for both parties. Mediation is not litigation. I don't act as your attorney. I don't act as a judge. I don't act as an arbitrator. I'm a mediator and I'm facilitating your discussions. And if you're in mediation, it's not a win-lose situation. A lot of times it's how do we find what's called a beneficial compromise. You might realize after all of our discussions that you didn't see a certain position or viewpoint. And so maybe you can make a compromise in your position because it still benefits you, it benefits the other party, and it benefits the kids. So that is, the main goal, to be open and transparent and to realize that we are looking for a beneficial compromise. It should never harm either party. It's not a win-lose situation.
Right.
It's finding the best path forward, albeit it might not be the path that either of you thought about when you started.
Sure. I think that is big point, is just keeping that open mind and just coming in to listen and engage. That's the two important things. And sometimes that's not always easy to do, but with your expert help, it always seems to work itself through.
Well, I appreciate that. And I always tell my clients in mediation, if at all possible, if you can do some self-care that day, that's a good day to do it, because you're going to feel like you ran an emotional marathon. And I'm not saying that to dissuade anybody from it, but it's hard work. It's hard to sit across the table and talk about intimate details, emotional details, something that might make you angry or frustrated. And you're all focused on things that maybe perhaps you didn't want to be focused on during your day-to-day life. So it's hard, but it's rewarding because you will come out with better outcomes. They say that you will follow an agreement that you had part in developing. And that's what mediation is about. It's giving you a voice. It's giving you a say in the outcome. And it's not giving that power to a court. So with those tips, if you're interested in learning more about mediation or about our team, feel free to visit us at birtlaw.com. You can give us a call at 630-891-2478. We're here to answer any questions. And again, for mediation, there's no bill, there's no invoice for a first meeting, so that we can just discuss your options and what mediation looks like for your family.
Yep, sounds great. We look forward to hearing from anyone that has these needs. We're open and ready when you are.
Absolutely. Well, before we break for today, I don't think there's any other questions to address. We will address any questions. If you want to submit those through our contact form, or if you have our contact information, feel free to email us any questions, and we'll do our best to answer those at future Wednesday meetings. But I think we're good to break here today, unless there's anything anybody would like to add.
I think
Nope.
we're all clear.
I think we're good. Okay, everybody have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.